Hey everybody, welcome to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. As always, good to have one Mr. Pat Duffy in and Kevin Oklobzija. Kevin, how are you doing?
Doing great. Great to be back again. I'm almost semi-regular here. This is getting scary for you guys.
It is, but it's fun. I like to have the two of you go at it and me just ref it. Pat Duffy, as always, with your regular Buffalo Bills uniform. Who is that?
The most underrated receiver in NFL history, that would be Eric Moulds, a guy that had like 8 different quarterbacks and might be a Hall of Famer had he had one consistent quarterback the entire time. So
something we can bring up in the Bills segment when we get to it. First off, let's get into the biggest social injustice, I would say, protest I've ever seen in sports across multiple sports. Started with the Bucks and the Orlando Magic game. Continued the rest of the NBA that day, WNBA that day and the next day. Major League Baseball got involved with this protest. The NFL took a couple of games off. NHL made their statement as well. Pat Duffy, your thoughts on the week that was 7 days ago?
I mean, it was something that I couldn't believe I was seeing as I was watching it happen, right? Like, for the first time in history, and I think you said it, it was arguably the biggest sports, social, political, racial protest in the history of American sports, right? Like, first of all, who knew that the players had this kind of power? And it's interesting, they've had this kind of power the whole time. For them to stand up and say, listen, we're not going to do this thing. What are you going to do about it? The NBA, for example, concessions are made immediately, right? Because of that protest, you end up having arenas now across the country being used as places where people are going to be able to go and vote for that election. I mean, good things come out of that. It was interesting to watch what the NHL did because they had a choice, right? You can do something or you can do nothing. You can't do anything in between. And they tried to do that in-between thing the night that the NBA decided to protest, and that didn't fly. And as usual, and Kevin, you could attest to this, the NHL is always, they did everything they could, and then they did the right thing afterwards. I found it very interesting that the NHL thought they might be able to get through this without having to stop play, and they were very, very incorrect about having to do that.
A lot of baseball teams played that same night, though, too. The Brewers did not. They said we're not playing, but much of baseball continued to play, and the NHL continued to play, and then I think everybody realized, wait a minute, it's time to really make a statement here. I think the worst thing about this is the comments on social media from people who, well, I'm not a fan of that league anymore. It's actually troubling that people can think this way.
Yeah, well, it's sad, but it's also bringing the discussion that has never really been had before. I know a lot of people have talked a lot about athletes and there shouldn't be any politics in it, but really politics has been a part of sports for a very long time, for a number of years, and for a number of different reasons, across sex. I mean, you've had tennis players who boycotted. You've had female tennis players that are not happy about this. You've had a number of different people step up and say, I'm not happy. White players that have basically said, I go to work with these players every single day. I see the emotion on their face. They're troubled by this. Hard Knocks took a time out from covering their team to bring this up. This is not just one of these issues that is one and done. And for people who think the NBA is just going to continue to just play and it'll be over with, they've definitely put a statement out for a lot of change at the end of this year and into the next year.
Well, and society holds up, and we as sports fans, a lot of people look at athletes as idols and some person to emulate. Well, now they've made a stand. Now they're calling for justice, and suddenly people are saying, "Wow, why don't you just stick to sports?" And I just don't understand I guess we have some problems in the country that if there's that many people that just don't get it.
Well, Tariq, going back to your original point, I don't want my justice or my politics and social issues mixed up with my sports. There has never been a time in American history where social issues and politics haven't collided with sports, between Jim Thorpe and Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and everything that went on with Billie Jean King. I mean, for on and on and on, never in the history of this country in professional sport have the two not interceded. So I don't get this idea of, well, we've never seen it before, so I don't want to see it now. You don't have sports. You don't have some of the greatest athletes we've ever seen without social and political issues. And the funny thing is, too, and I remember this when everything went down with Kaepernick, it was when Kaepernick started taking his knee and it was, becoming well-known, because he had done it before, but then it became, okay. Muhammad Ali died the same week that Colin Kaepernick became front page news. And we were doing the radio show, the break room that we do, and we had guys calling up talking about what a great man Muhammad Ali was, while at the same time criticizing Colin Kaepernick for what he did. Like, you have this guy who was one of the most hated men in America doing arguably the same thing that Colin Kaepernick was doing. And I get there's a war going on and there are differences, but you understand what I'm saying in an overarching part. How do you criticize one and accept another as a just passed away legend? It doesn't make any sense the way people want to pick and choose.
Yeah, for some strange reason, we talked about this a long time ago. A lot of people do not see athletes as human beings. They see them as just the entertainment and then go home. These are human beings that live lives, and they could imagine themselves being in these situations where they could have ended up dead. This is the Rochester Press Box. Coming up next, Buffalo Bills camp and news.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
This is the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko as we start the Bills segment. Pat Duffy, an acquisition for the Buffalo Bills earlier on this week. Andre Smith from Carolina, now a Buffalo Bill, and they gave up something to get him.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, what was it? A pick to be decided later, depending on if this guy makes the team or plays. Look, I find it interesting that the Buffalo Bills are following this new rule where they only make transactions with the Carolina Panthers. And this one's even more bizarre because this guy wouldn't have been on the roster when Bean or McDermott were playing in Carolina. But what is this, the 7th deal since Bean and McDermott have joined the team where they're bringing someone in from Carolina going back the other way? I don't know. I mean, he's a depth linebacker. He's going to be a special teams guy. I thought they had plenty of special teams depth on this Bills team. Apparently not. I mean, I think in his NFL career, if I'm not mistaken, he only has 16 tackles and all but 1 were on special teams coverage. So I don't really know what to make of that deal that was made to read.
Kevin, your thoughts on the deal? Any impact, or is this just a player to sort of have on the roster?
Depth move. I mean, I can't imagine. It's one of those, yeah, let's make sure we have every possible area covered in case something happens. That's all I read into it. I just, again, does he even make the team? I mean, what role does he play? How prominent does he become? I just don't see it as a major move, but it's always good to have somebody in that backup emergency role in case.
Also, Duffy, apparently the Buffalo Bills are ranking extremely high when it comes to their secondary. Do they have the best secondary in the league, or at least the top teams in the league?
I mean, we're going to find out in the first 4 or 5 games, right? I mean, Tre'Davious White, obviously one of, if not the best corner in the league. Then you go to the other side of the defensive backfield corner-wise, right? Is it going to be Josh Norman? Is he going to be healthy? If he is healthy, does he still have gas left in the tank? Can he play in the system? Will that make him better than he was when he was playing in Washington? If he can't go, Levi Wallace, there's a big question mark over his head. And I do want to say, I think there is some unfairness levied at Levi Wallace, not because he's not a good player, but because he's playing next to one of the greatest corners in the league. If you're going to throw the ball, you're going to throw it towards Levi Wallace's way. And there's an example of what unbelievable corner play looks like playing right next to him. The safeties are rock solid. The depth at safeties are rock solid. The only question is going to be the corner position opposite Tre'Davious White.
One Mr. Josh Norman, not quite sure about him. He is an exciting player, but 1-year deal, a lot to prove. Wouldn't you say, Kevin?
Well, Josh Norman, yes, and the other, Josh Allen's the one who said we have the best secondary in the league. Now, of course, your own teammate is going to pump up, but I mean, their secondary, I like it. Is it the best? Does it matter if it's the best? Because I think it's top 3, 4, 5. I mean, both the Ravens are still really good in the secondary. San Diego is. Seattle would be, now that the what's his name is seemingly cleared of charges and now can play. So depending on when he's reinstated by the commissioner, but I just think when you have that sort of a secondary and can eliminate threats by the other team, it's pretty fun to think what this Bills team can do. I'm not trying to bring false hope to Pat Duffy, because who knows? He's already at 12 wins or better. So,
okay.
12 wins? Duffy, you didn't say 12 wins, did you?
No, I didn't say 12 wins. I don't know what the hell Kevin's talking about. He's just trying to jinx things. He comes on and he jinxes things and he makes my life miserable.
Jinx thing. As the jinxes in sports. As David Cohn says, when I pitched my perfect game, I would go into the clubhouse and hear Michael Kay on the radio saying, and he's got a no-hitter going. And it didn't bother David Cohn one bit.
You have covered hockey for 140 years, and you're going to sit here and talk to me that jinxes and things like that don't matter.
I will go with this one. Jody Gage with the ultimate Yogi Berra quote 25 years ago, 30, however long ago it was. If you're not superstitious, you're superstitious about being superstitious.
Like it or not.
Okay, I can live with that.
This is the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not is coming up next.
Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
I hate kickers. They get great glory when they make a game-winning field goal. Sorry, you've got one job to do. Do your damn job.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us. This segment of the Rochester Press Box, Like It or Not, is being brought to you by the Ganguly Brothers Law Firm. If you have a legal matter, contact Ganguly Brothers today for a free consultation. All right, like it or not, Kevin, we talked a bit about the trade deadline a little bit before in the show. Well, I mean, look at the Padres making a big move to go get a big arm. Your thoughts on the Padres' last-minute trade?
Well, I love what Mike Clevenger said. This is the place to be right now. He's right. Is there any better place in sports than the fun that team is having? Slam Diego with Tatis and Machado and the entire team. I mean, this is so much fun for a team that's never won it all. They went for it. They're going for it. They understand this is their year, perhaps, and this is their chance. They have put more pressure on the Dodgers and everybody in the National League that I think it's so much fun to watch. I mean, they're breaking every unwritten rule baseball ever had, other than throwing at guys' heads, and that one they're not doing that, thankfully, but some other teams are. I just think they're fun to watch. They're having fun in the dugout. They're having fun on the field. And their fans somewhere are having fun. It's just not in the ballpark.
All right, Pat Duffy, I have to get into this story. I saw something on SI that had to do with a number of prospects now choosing to go to Europe to play hockey. Like it or not, prospects leaving the country to go play some hockey.
I mean, it's not just prospects that are going. The NHL teams are lending their property players that are under contract, to teams in Europe right now. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the future of the Buffalo Sabres Nets, is headed overseas. I mean, Kevin, there are a couple other players that were announced.
Is headed over there. Both of the Olofssons are going to play over there. Rasmus Asplund has already been loaned. So, and those are, granted, those guys are from Europe. I mean, that's kind of staying home for the moment, but I can see other guys being loaned over there as well. They need to play.
Well, and that's just it. You're going to get time in. You're going to get skates in before the NHL comes back to play, which could be December, January, maybe even February, depending on what the union does. I mean, look, if they start the season in December, which is the plan right now, the team that wins the Stanley Cup is going to have like 8 weeks where they're not on the ice before they have to get back to training camp again. That's not good. You're going to have a ton of injuries, and you're going to put a team that won a championship at a serious handicap. Look, these players did this during the lockout of what? God, it's been 12, 13 years now. Let them go play. We'll have hockey to watch. Let the NHL take their time coming back. And when it's ready to go, it's ready to go. I'm cool with it.
That is Like It or Not. Thank you for those watching. Coming up, Unfinished Business in the Rochester Press Box. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
The time we should be talking about the football season coming. It's been a week now, and Colin Kaepernick's dominating the headlines. I'm sure you fielded questions all week about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. 3-4 days in even this week, every time his name comes up, the phones light up. And like what Colin Kaepernick has done or not, he legitimately just risked everything he had to bring attention to something, right? I don't agree with the way he did about it. I don't agree with the way he went about it. And there's no way to actually, me and my body understand the way he feels. But I can tip my hat to a guy who threw everything out there to try and get a point across. Okay, we're listening. Do something with it now.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. Unfinished business, and we start off always with Pat Duffy.
Believe it or not, we are a week away from the Buffalo Bills opening against the New York Jets in Orchard Park. And you know what a diehard Bills fan I am, season ticket holder. Not that that matters right now. But here's the thing. I haven't even thought about it. In fact, I had to be reminded about it this week that we were that close to the NFL season starting up. And there's a reason why. Bills haven't been in our backyard. We on WCMF haven't been broadcasting from training camp. And there hasn't really been any information about what's going on with these teams because the teams don't want it getting out. Little unknown secret, possibly. The NFL and NFL franchises have a dicey relationship with media members. They want you there to talk about how great everything is and the fun they're having, but they don't want you to get out any information. And they get angry when that information gets out. Yet, it's that information that gets people so excited and interesting about the season coming. This year is perfect proof of that. We're not getting any rumors. We're not getting any juicy tidbits. We're not finding out about any drama going on in that team. And with all the other stuff going on, it makes it forgettable. Like, don't get me wrong. When the season starts, I'm going to watch every minute of it. I'm going to cheer from my couch, and I'm going to have a blast. But I think this is proof, and I hope the NFL is paying attention, that they need these reporters that they maybe don't like all the time a lot more than they think they do.
So the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays are having quite a little race here in the American League East. Unfortunately, the Yankees have brought in some old-school baseball, old-time baseball, at least Aroldis Chapman did. Throwing at Mike Brosu's head, 101 miles an hour, whatever that pitch was on Tuesday night. If you're a Yankee teammate, why would you defend Chapman? I don't get it. I really don't. If you want to hit a guy, fine. If you hit him in the ribs, if you hit him in the behind, whatever, yeah, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to leave permanent injury. You're throwing at a guy's head. This is so far removed from common sense that it's hard to believe Chapman would do that. Now, baseball needs to come down. They need to come down hard. It's amazing the umpires did nothing on Tuesday night other than separate players and say, oh, no, don't fight. Sorry, he's apologizing. Please. I'm glad the Rays went off on it, and I'm glad there's a little threat of we got 98 in our arm. It's stable in 98. So, unfortunately, there's one game left in the season series, but maybe a little playoff drama. That would be okay.
For a number of Syracuse fans, you know John Thompson as the fiery coach from Georgetown, a guy who you would love to see every year and beat him at Georgetown or at Syracuse. For me, John Thompson was a different type of coach. He was a coach that loved his players more than anything and would fight for them tooth and nail on and off the court. Sometimes coaches get labeled as just a coach that just wants to win at all costs and not worry about whether a student did well. That wasn't John Thompson. He cared a lot about students' academics and cared a lot about Patrick Ewing winning a championship in 1984 and fighting for his kids and racial inequality when fans would say negative things not only in the stands in which he protested, but in the media as well. He was feisty and really didn't want to take anything from anybody. He had the love of his kids to protect at all times. I'm going to miss John Thompson, not for what he did on the basketball court, but what he fought for off the basketball court and what we're still fighting for today. In order to keep his legacy alive for Big John and for everyone else, pick a bit of his legacy and let's continue on the fight that John Thompson would have fought. That's Unfinished Business. Thank you guys, as always, for stopping by in another week of sports. Hopefully, Bill Pucko will be back to ref you guys or me and Duffy or whatever it may be, but enjoy the rest of this week, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm sick of Kevin, too. I get it. Good call.
Kevin, if we call you, would you come back?
It depends.
Oh, okay. Well, Duffy will be here, so either way.
I'll have to come back. I need to know what jersey he's got on next time.
Absolutely. And thank you for those watching. This has been the Rochester Press Box. Enjoy the rest of your day.